it's an important issue. We'll see if they decide it. The other thing he did is he argued the case at the First Circuit, and I remember he refused to sit down, speaking of passion. And he was arguing, and he kept saying to the judges, "We're looking for someone to stand up for these people." And I remember one of the judges looked at him and said, "Mr. Kaplan, we're looking for someone to sit down." But I don't know what we would have done without having him turn
As I'm sure everybody knows, Harvey was the senior partner in, one of the greatest law firms in Boston history, Kaplan, O'Sullivan, and Friedman. And Jerry Friedman's in the back. Maureen O'Sullivan, who's now an immigration judge in LA, couldn't be here, but she did send a message that she wanted me to read, so I'm going to read it. It's a little long, but I think it's worth hearing. I am sorry that I cannot be with you for the celebration in honor of Harvey. I would have loved to see you and the many old friends that I know will be there. These are a few of the things that I learned from and about Harvey during the 24 years that I worked with him and Jerry. 1, your family is more important than your work. I know that for many of us in the immigration field, it seems like work is our family. But when they conflict, Harvey would simply ask, what is more important, that task or your kids? He would always say the office could cover the work, and the office did. 2, don't be afraid to volunteer, or better yet, volunteer your friends, colleagues, and employees. From day one, Harvey would get us involved in all kinds of endeavors without regard to whether we really knew what we were doing. He had confidence. He never lacked for confidence that whoever he had volunteered would learn how to do it by the time it needed doing, and that they would do a great job. They usually did. 3, always hire your best students. Many of you are living proof of this maxim. Jerry Friedman, Ilana Greenstein, Jeannie Kane, Audrey Robert Ramirez, but not John.
This is my legacy.
Usually, his strategy was to get them to the office thinking that the job was only temporary, and then convince them that we couldn't live without them. This is how Harvey introduced Jerry to me as a former Northeastern Co-op student who was coming to help out for a while. That was the summer of '86, and the rest is history. 4, it's always about the facts. This is Harvey's approach to winning cases. He would always say that it is all about the facts. This is how to take a hopeless cause and turn it into a winning case, or have that case for the rest of your life. I still hear this advice of his repeating inside my head. 5, delegate. Harvey perfected this technique so he could delegate not just some of the tasks on a case or project, but all of it. Often he would use this technique together with the volunteer your friends technique, to get those he had delegated to do work together with those he had volunteered. He was usually delighted with the results and generous in his praise. In the end, this turned out to be one of Harvey's real gifts. That is, giving others a chance to rise to the occasion and to do more than they thought they were capable of doing. He brought people together to work towards a common goal. This allowed a lot of people to get involved, to get to know each other, to feel invested in the outcome, and develop an affection for him. This is quite a lasting legacy. And then, of course, there were the little things. Harvey loved Jerry's latest legal theory, doing dictation that only Sarah or Malvina could decipher, handing off a business case to Beata and having her work her magic with it, taking field trips to the First Circuit, reading and rereading Ilana's briefs, Secret Santa, and most of all, the cake. He would always have 2 pieces saying, "Don't tell Audrey." Congratulations, Harvey. I do miss you. And as you always say, take care, Maureen. That's something you hope
Give me
that...
that. Can I have that?
I printed it out, so it's just that. Okay, Alana? You wanna-
I don't know if I can follow Maureen, but, and I'm not like John and Nancy, I need notes for everything. I met Harvey in 1996 when I was a bright-eyed and bushy second-year law student at Northeastern, and within a matter of days, he had me completely hooked. He was a guy who stood up, told all of his students, if the judge is yelling at you, you're doing a good job. If the judge is screaming at you, you're doing a great job. And I just thought, God, this is more fun than contracts. So, Harvey, I was hooked. I took the class that he and Maureen taught at Northeastern. I did 2 co-ops at what was then Kaplan O'Sullivan and Friedman. I did an independent study. I worked part-time there while I was in school, and I figured that eventually they were going to have to start paying me if I just hung around for long enough. At first I had no desk, I had no computer, I had a cardboard box that I would carry my files around in the office waiting for someone to call in sick. I shared a chair with Jerry's paralegal Julie in the conference room. It was broken. And I thought I had the best job on earth. I thought I had hit the jackpot, and I thought I was the luckiest person on earth. And I had, because Harvey and Jerry and Maureen were the best teachers, the best mentors, and the best friends that anyone could possibly ask for, and I loved them. So why does everybody love Harvey? I mean, that's really what we're all here to talk about, right? I'm not sure he's gonna like this, but part of it is what Iris Gomez described to me when I was doing my first circuit court case, which was a long time ago, as Harvey's the granddaddy of federal court immigration litigation. I'm not sure he likes the word granddaddy, but the truth is that Harvey had the sort of radical idea of beginning to take immigration cases into federal court when nobody was doing it. I mean, now we like trip into the First Circuit like we're going out for lunch. But Harvey was one of the people who really started doing this back in 70s, 80s, 80s. And he had the even more radical idea of winning them. He's brilliant. He remembers every case he's ever read. I mean, I would like come into Harvey and I'd just gotten off the train, and between the Green Line and the office, I had cooked up some sort of frivolous legal theory, and I'd go in and I'd sort of like ramble on to Harvey about it, and Harvey would say, yeah, there's a board case on that. Matter of, whatever it is, 14 INN, I think it's 732, I'm not sure. And then, the 7th Circuit has a good case on that. The 11th Circuit is terrible, but that doesn't matter. And I don't think the 1st Circuit has ruled on this, so you're good, yeah. Come on, go for it. But is that why we love Harvey? I mean, a lot of people respect him, but is that why I don't think that's why we love Harvey. We love him because he has a heart the size of all outdoors. He is kind, he is generous. He never misses an opportunity to brag about how brilliant his staff, his law partners, his colleagues, or his children are. He's a total pushover. His specialty is the insanely complicated emergency motion to reopen that's got like equitable tolling and changed country conditions and is really fact intensive and has to be filed a week ago, and he'll charge you $600 to do it. Sorry, Maureen and Jerry. But the number one reason why we love Harvey is that he is always, utterly convinced that we are going to win. Always. It doesn't matter how hard the case is. It doesn't matter how recalcitrant the judge is. And it doesn't matter that this is an Indonesian asylum case in the First Circuit with no past persecution to speak of, and really massive credibility issues. It doesn't matter, we're going to win. Now, some of you may have heard that Harvey threatened to retire about 7 or 8 months ago. And the reaction was pretty widespread distress. I think the entire immigration unit at GBLS was holding prayer vigils in the mornings, and had to call in grief counselors from FEMA. His clients were upset, the staff was upset, many of you were upset. Manuel can explain what I was like. I was distraught. I think even some of the judges were kind of upset. But really, you know, to be honest, what this is all about is me. I was really upset. And it's not that Harvey didn't deserve it. I mean, after banging his head against a brick wall for 40-odd years, he deserved to step back and let somebody else pick up the gauntlet. But the best part of my workday for the last 18 years has been coming into the office and seeing Harvey's face. And getting his advice, bouncing ideas off him. So I'm glad we talked him into putting it off for a little bit longer. I'm glad we get the benefit of your expertise for a little bit longer. And I'm glad I still get to see your face.
There's just one thing I want to say for, as everybody knows, Harvey is an incredible fighter. There's no judge, no court that Harvey hasn't been willing to take on and force them to deal with him. Even if he's sitting in the audience. Harvey, at the First Circuit, Harvey was willing to stand up and say, no, that's not right. I haven't seen anyone else do that. Even the First Circuit judges know, nah, it's Harvey. Okay. Lori's going to say something. So let me, Lori Rookberg.
So, hi, I'm so glad to be here. I have to tell you, I don't know how many people really know this, but Harvey is one of my very best friends, probably one of my 2 or 3 best friends in the entire world, which even chokes me up to say. And we've been working together one way or another since the late 70s. I even worked for Harvey in the mid-80s. Some people may not know that. And even though we live in different cities, and we have for 20 years now, more than 20 years now, we talk to each other. Harvey usually calls me up. He goes to bed earlier than I do, so when he calls me, it's usually Sunday afternoon or sometime around between 7 and 8 in the evening. And what do? We talk about First Circuit cases. Did you see the last case in the First Circuit? Until finally I hear in the distance and he goes, I gotta go, 5 minutes, Aud, 5 minutes. And then he says, Audrey says I have to go. So, what I want to share about my perspective of Harvey as a premier immigration lawyer. I don't know, I'm very sorry, this walking distance is crazy, so I got here a few minutes and missed the beginning talk, I think. But what I want to say, I don't know if this has been said about Harvey, is this. Harvey is in this for the clients and to make the immigrant and refugee community a safer, better, more livable, more user-friendly place. And that's always been what it is for Harvey. He's a brilliant intellect. He's totally one of the most brilliant legal thinkers that I know. But the bottom line for Harvey, the way I know Harvey, is that he cares about the clients. And he cares about the cases and the law that's going to control and influence their lives. And to me, as I've seen attorneys over the years change in terms of their relationship to the work that we do, Harvey has consistently been about good law, good precedent, bettering conditions, and being more welcoming to immigrants, the people that we serve and the communities that we serve. And to me, that's just such a remarkable mission, because I believe that's been Harvey's mission, and that is to be of service in the most effective, brilliant, and loving way. More than anything else, it's a loving way. So I don't want to take up too much time here, but I wanted to point that out, that, you know, whether it was, I'd love to reminisce with people about all the different situations we had. I don't know if anyone mentioned, I'll just say a couple things before I close. I don't know if anyone mentioned that, I don't think it was actually Harvey's client, but we were all in the same office together. It might have been Richard Iandoli's client. Harvey was present and involved when somebody threw a deportation officer down the stairs, I believe. Do you remember that? His own client, Navia Duran, was accosted in her apartment building in the you know, what do you call the foyer? The foyer, where you come in and ring the bells and go up the stairs in an apartment building. And then Harvey and I and Debbie and some other people here also were involved when there was a raid on Faneuil Hall. And Haitian workers were running throughout Faneuil Hall and being chased by then INS officers. So, I mean, whether it's the most serious case in front of the First Circuit, or whether it's protecting the whole downtown Boston area from people running loose all over the city on a chase, Harvey's been there, and I just love him so much, and he's going to be around forever, so don't worry. I don't think it's going to be that easy for him to disengage himself from talking about the law and following the cases, so we're all going to get to benefit by talking with him and working with him for a long time to come.
So, we've heard all of these just wonderful accolades about Harvey, all true. I met Harvey over 30 years ago. I was introduced to him while I was working a co-op for Sharon Ross. Then I had him as a law professor. I think maybe his first immigration class, second?
What year was that?
83.
83. It was the first class.
Yeah, so we
It
were
was
first
my
class.
boy. I got a photo of.
So anyway, Harvey was an inspiration from the moment that I met him, you know, for his passion, for his fire, for his legal thinking, for the way he talked to law students, the way he would talk to knowledgeable lawyers. He actually treated you like you knew something, and that he had something he could teach you, but that he respected that you already knew a lot. And I know for me, I've always been grateful that Harvey's been there whenever I had a question, whenever I had a tough legal issue to talk about. Harvey, can I ask you to come up? Could be made without having a plaque. Yeah, how about that? So we have a plaque for Harvey Lifetime Achievement Award. Harvey Kaplan, congratulations on your 40 years of practicing law, for dedicated service to the immigrant community, tireless advocacy, mentoring of younger attorneys, and overall achievements in your legal career. Your friend Zanella. No tribute is done without a flower.
You put it in your greenhouse orchard.
Oh, what's in here?
It's an orchid.
Let me hand this off.
It's a nice orchid. That'll be good in the greenhouse.
Wait, one last thing before Harvey, starts his speech. I just want to say that Harvey just won the Pro Bono Hero Award from Ayla. So
Does anybody have to go to a session in the next 2 hours? And I'm trying to figure out in my own mind how long to talk. I know it's, one of my things. I don't, when people talk too much, I get, what are they doing? What's going on?
Don't worry, you never do that.
So I'm going to go through some of these things anyways. But I'm not going to be offended if you leave. There's stuff out there to learn. So, and if enough people leave, I'll stop. First, I want to thank the local chapter, Jeannie, and the whole executive committee for allowing this to happen. This was not easy to pull off. You're dealing with Ayla National. You're dealing with some punky organization that doesn't have power. And so to get this, it took a tremendous effort. So I'm so happy about that. I want to say something about Howie. I think Howie's the backbone of our chapter. Howie does everything. Howie fights in court. He talks to immigration officers in a calm way. And he litigates. And he's been liaison person for umpteen years, for umpteen different organizations, and he's helped resolve cases, I believe, for probably all of us and many others. To resolve a problem case, that's one of the most impossible tasks that there is. But if Howie could go over there and talk to somebody, because you can never talk to anybody, right? You could resolve it. And, I say, Howie's still there. He never goes away, and we're very lucky to have him. Now, I want to just acknowledge, I'm trying to keep this shorter, but what can I do? I want to acknowledge my wife, Audrey, who's here. My two children, Abby and Lily, who are not here. And they're doing something very unusual. They graduated college and they're working. Before those three people came into my life, I was an obsessive, compulsive, somewhat irritable immigration lawyer. And now I'm a happy person. And I think that speaks to the balance that we all need in doing this work. I don't know if John and Nancy have ever entertained any of those thoughts. And let me talk a little bit about Lori. Lori is a unique person. That has many aspects to it. She's truly unique. And, if you went to her session, yesterday I believe it was, there's something about Lori that goes a step further. People get up and tell you what the law is. People come up and give you the theories of the case. People come up and analyze it to this level. Well, Lori's somewhere up here. And really, that's what we need, because immigration law can be so cut and dry. But she can bounce cases off, she can do all those things. She's incredible. Now, Lori, just want to make, I'm sure most people are aware, she was on the BIA. She wrote more dissents than all the dissents More dissents than all the dissents in the history of the BIA. And she's the Holmes of the BIA. I consider that her legacy. And I just, I can't say enough about, as you can see, our friendship, but also tremendous support. Okay, now Lori decided that I wasn't really politically sensitive. So she tried to get me involved with the National Lawyers Guild and the National Immigration Project and try to sensitize me. Because without understanding the politics and really understanding all that, of course, we can't understand our clients. She talked me into going to a trip to Guatemala. I didn't know what it was about, where we were doing a study of the Civil War and the human rights violations there, and where we talked to people who wore masks because they didn't want us to know them. We talked to people that had guns on the table. We talked to people that had been tortured. We talked to all those people to try to put together a report. Now, that's when I met this crazy lawyer, really crazy lawyer. That was Mark Randall. And you know why he's crazy? Because I was sitting there, shaking, for 12 days. I was counting the days before we were going to leave. And Mark says our work is not done. We have to stay for some more days. And I'm politically, invested. I was devastated. But I think that was, that's the way he is. He doesn't leave a job until he finishes it. And so his is a coast-to-coast friendship.
You survived it. Listen. Listen to you now. When I grow up, I want to be Harvey Kaplan.
There's some things in your life that just influence you. You have that. I was in the Peace Corps in Brazil, that just influenced me. This trip to Guatemala influenced me. There's just some things that they grab you, they never leave you. So I was happy. I'm happy about that. I'm going to try to say a few names. And all those people that I don't mention, you know who you are. And if you're not on my list, what can I do? First, Alana. Now, I was going to say, I always say we use the best. All right? When I talk about Maureen O'Sullivan, I always use the word the best. But today, I'm going to say one of the best. Because I realize that there are so many people out there that are the best. And that's what makes us who we are. So, Alana, you are only one of the best. And, the beauty of Alana, besides her legal skills, her writing skills, her writing skills are the best I've seen, sorry Lori, in circuit court. Her writings are just unbelievable, and she goes to that level. And when she's always available, and so Alana, but the thing about Alana, which I could never quite pull off, she loves her work. You can't be loving of this work all the time. I'm sorry. You can't do it. And you can't do it when there's emergencies, and you can't do it when there's federal court litigation that nobody understands. So I now have had some great partners. Maureen O'Sullivan, Jerry Friedman, and Alana, and Manuel. Manuel, I'm now working with Manuel Macias. It's called Macias, Greenstein, and Kaplan. I don't work that much. Manuel is unbelievable in terms of his empathy for people. He believes his passion is he's going to help all the people that were in his working class as well. And it's pretty remarkable. But the best thing going for Manuel is he married or what? Now,
In my Harley Davidson.
now, a few minutes more. So I have to think, well, how did I get here? How did I get to stand up here today? And there were a few people that were particular. First of all, I'll go from the legal part. What I did was I manipulated it. Every brief that Alana wrote, every brief that Jerry wrote, every brief that Laura, every brief that Maureen wrote, and every brief that anybody else in the office did, my name went first. Until there was some resistance. There started to be some resistance. And so I look so good on paper. I go in the federal, second, but I look really good. And it's unbelievable what they've done. But I took a lot of credit. Now, I also want to just mention briefly my parents. They were working class people. My father raised chickens that went down. He worked as a roofer, and he worked in a shoe factory. And he passed away early in the 60s. I think the shoe factory the roofer and the shoe factory didn't help him too much. My mother never got a high school diploma, but my mother taught me two very important things. And this remains with me. The first is, when the clothes come into Hadassah's thrift shop, always get there first. And she did, and you should have seen how I was dressed. The other thing was, she taught me to stand up for myself. Whenever my mother would tell me to do something, I would say no. Put on your rubbers, it's raining. No. Take your umbrella? No. It's cold outside? No. Eat your vegetables? No. It was just absolute no. Just gut. Gut reaction. 100% oppositional. That became the best training. Now, I just want to tell one last story. John and Nancy, I can use the word best for them without reservation. What they've done, I'm not going to even try to explain. The raid, the 361 people were arrested. They called me up that night, and Nancy called me up and said, hey, they arrested 361 people, and they're all detained in Devons, and we're all going down there, let's go down there. And it was 10 below zero. And I said, I'm not going. I'm just not going. But the next day she called up to ask me to help on the legal case. But that's exactly, then the judge, we had Judge Stearns, who he's not here, is he? I would bet not. He's not sympathetic. But he sort of said, you don't know what's going on. Who's talking to these clients? So John and Nancy and a whole bunch of people flew down to Texas, rode 7 hours between each detention center, gathered facts and affidavits to prepare for our case. And when I told Judge Stearns that the Office of Immigration was not telling the truth, I think I used a different word, and I demanded that they show us when the flight took off. Because I'm convinced to this day it took off while we were in court. That's an insult to the court. And he didn't want to hear it. So that was that. Now, last thing is a story about John. Remember this. I'm going to remind you of this time. We're going out for a drink, and we're sitting at the bar there, and there's a rabbi there. There's a priest there. I guess Nancy there. There's John there, and then I'm there also. All right. So the rabbi, after a few drinks, rabbi orders, Manischewitz. The priest orders Irish whiskey. And And John orders, I don't know what was in that drink. Both of them were drinking up, and I ordered Maalox. We have any Maalox. I mean, this is not, I can't just go out and drink like this and do a full day's work. So the rabbi gets up, the rabbi's sitting down, he said, miracles. Miracles, they're amazing. You remember the time that God parted the Red Sea and let our people go? And then the priest goes, yeah. And he says, a miracle was something like when Jesus was resurrected. That's a miracle. So they turned to John and Nancy, and they're too drunk to say anything. And they just couldn't respond. And so they turned to me, and I said, saving 100 people of the 360 people in the Bedford raid, that was a miracle. That was the biggest miracle. So I did get to say most of what I got to say. I didn't talk enough about Jerry. I didn't talk enough about Maureen, and I didn't talk enough about 10 other people in here. I just say for Jerry, he was a great partner. He chose to take on the most difficult cases, which was criminal detained aliens and criminal detained undocumented workers. And most importantly in the office, this is really what is most important, he understood Jewish humor. And Jewish humor can go a long way when you're working in our field. So thank you very much. I'm so happy you showed up.